Hello? Hello, do you hear me?
Hello.
Hi there. Hi. Can I see video? You can see. I I managed to get into the wrong building. I'll be in the right one in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I what happened is I typed in Uber. I typed Greenwich Peninsula, and apparently there are two Greenwich Peninsulas in London. So I didn't know. And but the good thing is that they're next to each other. It's good that they're not on the different sides of the city or something like this. So in 5 minutes I'll be there. If you guys, you can talk for a bit, and you can introduce yourselves, and I'll be there in a few minutes.
All right.
How are you guys? Who is here? Adela, Heather, Gonzaga. How are you?
Yes, great.
Yeah.
Trying to have the camera switch on.
Yeah, you can kind of. I don't know if I can have a light. Is there a light on the?
Yeah.
And can you? It's a bit better. Yeah, we should be able to start in a few minutes. Just let me find. Uh, yeah, 4 minutes until I'm at my destination.
Oh.
1 second. Yeah. Yeah. We're here now? Okay. So it's less. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, how many are we? How many people?
Well, I think maybe a few more would join. 1 second.
Adela.
There are 14 in the WhatsApp group, but who knows if everyone will show up.
I see, well, that signed up like 9 people.
Thank you.
And is everybody in London, or where are you?
I'm in Surrey, just outside London.
Okay.
I'm in Spain.
In where? In Spain? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm in Spain also. So am I.
Where in Spain?
In Madrid.
Okay. I'm in Valencia.
Okay. That's cool.
I used to live in Madrid. I lived there for a couple of years.
It's been snowing like we had more snow than ever.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Down here in Valencia, no snow.
We were stuck like for almost 10 days.
Yeah, I saw the news. It's actually funny because I used to live in Canada, and it's funny how unprepared the Spanish people are for the snow.
Yeah, I mean, Madrid was a disaster because they didn't do anything. The people had to take their snow away, or hire the trucks to get the snow away, because the city hall didn't do.
But that's kind of normal. Even in Canada, you are supposed to clean your driveway of snow. If not, you get a fine, and the government or the city or whatever is cleaning the main streets. But you have to clean whatever it's in front of your property. So the sidewalk that belongs to your property, like just you have to clean that.
Well, the sidewalk, they were there. I think today it's partly gone, but they were covered with snow because the snow was pushed on the sidewalk. So you could only walk in the center of the street with the cars and with everybody, which was
it sounds crazy for Madrid. When I lived there, the most snow I got there was maybe a couple of days, and it was just a little powder.
Yeah.
just
No,
like in England.
I've been here for 25 years and I've never seen that ever. But that was fun. I mean, it's a good break, that was really fun.
Interesting start of 21.
Yeah, it's exciting. I thought it was exciting for everybody, except if you had problems, but
yeah, if you had heating in the house, it was exciting.
Yeah.
If not,
no, if you had a heart attack and you couldn't go to the hospital. I mean, there was a lady that gave birth in her car.
oh my God.
I mean, all the urgent. I mean, you could not move. I mean, it's in some way it was much more impressive than COVID, because COVID you don't see anything, but there you were absolutely
Wow.
Yeah, struck in your neighborhood.
Wow. And let me ask you something. Were you able to find these French wines in Madrid?
Yes, in La Viña, yes.
I went.
Yeah, you have good stores here where you plus. Well, I didn't know. I mean, you see, the only information I had was Burgundy and Bordeaux. So I picked. That's easy. This is so generic, you know. It's like 2 regions, which are the most famous 2 regions of France. So that was quite easy. But I didn't know the name. He didn't give the name of the wines he picked. I could have tried to get the same.
I was able only to find one of them, and I went to 2 wine stores, and they only had 3 or 4 French wines in each store. The rest of them were Spanish.
Oh.
So I was only able to find one.
Which one? Bordeaux? Or?
Burgundy.
Oh, Burgundy, okay.
Yeah, and this was the only type that they had.
Yeah. It looks good though. I think I know it, the one you have.
Maison Louis Latour.
Yeah.
And I had a glass and a bit of wine, and I already felt like going to bed.
Well, it's an hour later there, isn't it?
Yeah. But this wine is older. It's from 2015, and it's just like stronger.
Yeah. So we're here 3 people, by the way. I have a few more people maybe joining.
Hi, so I've just joined.
For a first Zoom, it's not too bad. Hopefully we get more people next time.
I tried to get in at 8 o'clock and I couldn't get in at all for half an hour.
We'll try to do it on time and do it 8 o'clock. And
well, that's what I was expecting. So you know.
Yeah, I'm thinking let's open them and just have 6 glasses. So we're 3 people here, and we got Bordeaux and Burgundy, and we can do the same thing, because in case some people didn't get, we can do it the kind of similar thing, but with more people next Wednesday as well. And the idea is after that we can then decide like which one people prefer, Bordeaux or Burgundy, and we can do another competition which is like left side versus right side Bordeaux, or south versus north Burgundy, and it will be more interesting because it will be more similar wine, you know, like it will be Burgundy versus Burgundy or Bordeaux versus Bordeaux.
Yeah.
I was just saying before that it was difficult for me to find Bordeaux. I only found Burgundy here in my city. And so I imagine if I ask, give me one from the North region or something like this, they only had 4 French wines in the whole store, in 2 wine stores that I went to.
Yeah, I know. In
it
London,
is 99 Spanish.
Probably the best wine store in the world. It's called Hedonism. I think they spend like 20 million pounds for the place and another 15 million for the wines. Like they have everything, you know, they have a whole of Chateau d'Yquem, Petrus, Romane Conti, everything, you know, dating from, there are only 10 bottles in the world of 1811 Chateau d'Yquem, which is like 200-year-old wine and cost like 100,000 each. And they have 2 of them out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll have both. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's happy shopping for oligarchs, that shop.
It is.
Yeah, it's a Russian guy who got it, you know, like, you know, there is a joke about 2 Russian oligarchs meet and one said, look at what bottle of wine I got, it cost 10,000 pounds, and the other guy said, I got a much better deal, I got it for 20,000.
Speaking of those wines and years, have you seen there's something on Netflix about a crook from Asia that have you seen this on Netflix? That collection, he went to the States and started selling French wines, and he became the most knowledgeable guy. He was a young guy and got introduced in California and sold wine to everybody. And then it was una estafa, you say in Spanish. Yeah,
it was a hoax. Sorry to disturb. It was a hoax, or it was something fraud.
Yeah, it was fraud, exactly. And he sold. You see the one collection of people like the one you mentioned, with wines that belong to Thomas Jefferson, and that were worth 200,000 euros or dollars.
So I'm gonna do it. Okay, so this is yeah, so I have my Bordeaux Burgundy. I want to ask if someone is like a wine expert. I got the Burgundies, I think a monopole, which means I think like only one owner of the vineyard, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking there is this vineyard Montrachet, and I think it's like on one vineyard, but there are different producers, and there is DRC, and then there are other companies, and like DRC they charge like 6,000 a bottle, and other companies charge, let's say, 1,000 a bottle or 500 or less, and I don't understand why such a large difference when it's the same vineyard.
I'm not sure DRC has any Montrachet.
Yeah, they do. DRC Montrachet.
Okay. Well, Le Montrachet is actually quite a big, for Burgundy anyway, it's quite a big vineyard. Like Clos Vougeot is one vineyard, a big walled vineyard, and it's all Grand Cru, but there are about 40 different owners. And different owners have different reputations. You know, some people are better winemakers than others. Within one Grand Cru, you'll have slightly better parcels, so they will attract higher prices as well.
I mean, Romane Conti is the most famous of them all, so
yeah,
just the name commands probably different prices than any other owners.
Yeah, I know that the name is, but let's say Romane Conti itself is a monopole, so they can charge whatever, but Montrachet is not. So it just seems strange how they can charge 5 times or more for something like 10 meters away from another one, you know?
Yeah. That's the definition of Burgundy, you know, the climat. You have a couple of meters and you have someone who has a fortune and then another one who's average. In this case, it's not average, but it's a
still average for Montrachet, you know. I don't know. I've only tried one Montrachet, and I think it was like 300 pounds, and it was quite amazing. I can't really imagine how much more better, let's say, the 6,000 pounds. I think maybe it could be even the slightest difference, but because it's so scarce, people just pay anything, you know.
You're talking about whites or reds?
White. I was talking a little bit about whites.
Yeah.
Montrachet is white.
Right, Montrachet is white. Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I wanted to make this because if we could also talk about dessert wines and yeah, maybe, but I wanted to mostly focus on the red. Can someone tell me why there isn't dessert wines at the level of Chateau d'Yquem in Burgundy?
Because they don't specialize in dessert wines at all.
Yeah, I know, but
they just don't make them.
And it's probably too cold also. You wouldn't have botrytis up there in the north, and to have the botrytis, which makes all the sauterne, which is the noble rot, you need humidity, a combination of humidity and certain warmth that you do not have in Burgundy. It's far too cold. I would think it's the main reason.
And generally, you need to be close to a river. You need a body of water for that to happen. So that's what you have in Barsac and Sauternes. You have that in the Loire Valley, where they make dessert wines affected by botrytis, but there isn't a body of water like that in
Burgundy.
In the vineyards in Burgundy.
And so, what about Rhone Valley?
The Rhone Valley.
Yeah.
They make sweet wines there.
Are there any dessert wines in Rhone Valley?
Yes, there are. Yeah.
Okay.
So they make wines from, it's called vin de paille, which are grapes that are dried on mats after they've been harvested. And then they also make what the French call vin doux naturel, which are fortified wines. So like Muscat Baume de Venise is the most famous one, but also in Rasteau, they make sweet wines as well.
Sweet Muscat as you get further down, isn't it?
Yeah, you get that in Languedoc as well.
Some of those are wonderful and not very well known.
So Daniel, I have to go in about 5 minutes, but what are we actually doing here this evening?
We wanted to compare Burgundy and Bordeaux. So I can do the same thing next week, maybe be better prepared. And yeah, if people are in UK, I can also potentially send some bottles for free. I just want them to be like a group of like maybe 6 people, so that it makes sense to drink 2 bottles. So yeah, I mean, I have a bottle of Burgundy and a bottle of Bordeaux. The Burgundy, I don't know if you can see. Here it's I'll say it's called Grand Vin de Burgundy Mercury Premier Cru Clos de Grands Voyants Monopole Jenin Nautet. I'm not sure anything about it, but yeah, I wanted to mainly talk about what do you think the difference is and why you prefer one than the other. The Bordeaux is from it's called Petit Cantenac from Saint Emilion. It's Grand Cru. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to ask you mostly, what are the main differences you find in Burgundy and Bordeaux, and why you prefer one than the other? So if you can say, let's say, Heather, what do you think?
Well, I'm probably by default, I'd probably say Burgundy, because I don't really, I don't have the palate for red Bordeaux. I like white Bordeaux. I'm not so keen on the reds. And so obviously they're very different styles. You know, red Burgundy is Pinot Noir, very light, delicate, perfumed. Whereas red Bordeaux, Cabernet Merlot, Cabernet, you know, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot blend, much more tannic, much drier. I just find perhaps my tolerance of tannin is a bit low, so I prefer Burgundy. But I have to say I don't buy much red Burgundy either.
Well, it's
To
incredibly
be honest,
expensive, isn't it?
it is, yes, and you can spend well over £20 and be very disappointed. So I tend to look elsewhere for my wines, because I tend not to spend over £20 a bottle in general.
£33. I decided to buy bottles that are like roughly the same level. They are quite nice, I can
Are they
say.
the same year as well?
Yeah.
I mean,
Are they
personally
the same vintage? As it,
speaking, I'm somebody who likes like Bordeaux, because I like full flavor, and I find it is quite smooth. It's much smoother than Burgundy. But having tasted the both, I must say Daniel is right. They're quite nice. Even though I'm not a Burgundy fan, but the Burgundy is actually quite nice.
So of these two, you prefer the Burgundy?
No,
Yeah.
I would go with Bordeaux because I like
Yeah.
full.
And I would say, Daniel, your Burgundy is from the Côte Chalonnaise, so you're not in the sort of classic heartland of the Côte d'Or. You're a little bit further south. They're not as prestigious, so you tend to get better value for money, because it's not the big famous names that you're buying.
Yeah, I can tell you there are 2007 for Burgundy and 2016 for Bordeaux. I'm not sure what the best vintages are. I know that 2009 and 10 are considered the best for Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Can you, of the last 10 years, can someone tell me what are the top 3 vintages for Bordeaux and Burgundy?
No.
Do you know?
the 16s were very good of the recent vintages.
16 of what? Of Bordeaux or Burgundy?
16 both.
Okay, 16.
And the same in the Rhone.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 and 16, very good in the Rhone.
When we thought it was a fabulous vintage, but then the 16s are even better. I think in all of those 3 areas, we'd do well to get the 16s. Yeah.
And of, let's say, 2009 and 10, I know they're very good for Bordeaux.
10.
Are they also very good for Burgundy or not so much?
Yes, yeah. A good place to get the vintage charts is the Wine Society.
Yeah.
If you just go to the website, they'll tell you all the vintages and all the areas.
There is a very good YouTube video, if you want to see it, on Johnston Robinson and Hugh Johnson. It's on the.
I think you gave us a link to that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did send everyone.
It looks interesting.
That is the reason actually I chose this topic. It may not be the best topic because there are quite different wines, but it's the topic that I can show everyone a debate, which is on YouTube by 2 top professionals, and I kind of model it on that. So what Johnston Robinson said is the best value for money is a great vintage of a lesser known producer. So let's say, for example, I don't know if 2014 is maybe not so good vintage, but maybe buying a quite nice 2014 Burgundy could be better than Romane Conti 2014 because it's not such a great vintage.
I don't think it works like that.
But you've got a good point, because if you're blind tasting wines of that level, the choice is this a lesser wine of a very good vintage or a very good wine of a lesser vintage? So, just as you've said, And people do find that quite difficult to untangle in blind tasting sometimes.
I mean,
and you can get very good value from the lesser wines in a good vintage. Yeah.
You know, Petrus, let's say 2000 cost like 5,000 pounds or whatever, but let's say, and it's 100 points by many critics, but there are other vintages, I don't know, 2000, I'm not sure which ones, but that are considered like really terrible. And yeah, everyone gives it like 92, 93 points out of 100. And they're still like 1,000 pounds or more. While for much less money, you can get better wines than the worst Petrus, you know.
Yeah, you pay for the fame, you pay for the name, and lots of those wines are presents. When you give a present, it says Petrus, it looks good.
Even if it's not the best vintage. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of the time, they're not going to drink it anyway. It's a sort of show-off thing.
Yeah.
I've got a bottle of it.
I'll tell you
that under the radiator.
Yeah.
A difference between Bordeaux and Burgundy is the people. The people that own and that make the wines are very different.
Oh,
Bordeaux, it's a chateau. Bordeaux, you're a chateau. So it's very elegant building.
House is for Burgundy, and then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, Gonzague, which one do you prefer from Bordeaux and Burgundy?
I'm from Lyon, so I'm much more geared toward Burgundy.
Yeah.
Plus, I think, I love, I really value very much white wines. And Burgundy, you can go very high.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, of course, but it can make you crazy. Burgundy can make you crazy, I think, and Bordeaux can. I mean, the highest has to be Burgundy. Burgundy is no security, so it's. If you want to invest, you have to buy Bordeaux because they're liquid. You know what you're getting, and you mostly will be able to sell them and make money. Burgundy, you have no idea. It can be extremely expensive, and then it can be very disappointing. But the greatest emotions are Burgundy, I think. And most of the people that know really wine will say the same. But it doesn't mean you have to like Burgundy more. I live in Spain, and I think Burgundy here is not for Spanish people. It's so different.
And that's very interesting because many years ago we used to taste Bordeaux versus Burgundy versus Rioja, the old style aged red Riojas, and there was difficulty telling the difference between those three. Interestingly, as they got very mature,
as they got older, yeah.
And it was a sort of famous thing that everybody tried out to see if it was really true. But
I think it's true. Wines sort of, they kind of, they converge and they just become mature wine. And probably if you had a mature Brunello di Montalcino or something,
that might
it'd be hard to tell that from a Bordeaux, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And spirits do the same thing. Rum versus whiskey versus cognac. And even if you can put Calvados into the mix, if they're very old, you can't tell which is which.
So
and people don't believe you until they've tried
it. I'm sure you're right.
It's difficult to set it up because.
Are you all drinking the same wines or not?
Not. I think everyone is drinking different, but we try for next week.
No, but we could show them. I mean, everybody could show their wine. So
Sure. I mean, which wines are you drinking, Gonzague?
Mine, the Burgundy is a generic Bourgogne from Olivier Guyot, which is quite reputed person in Burgundy.
You can post the name in the chat if you want after, because it will be here.
Olivier Guyot, it's 2018, and it's the village is called Marsanais, so that's north.
Oh yeah.
That's north of the Côte de Nuit. That's the beginning of the Côte de Nuit. You're not getting in the very famous ones, so the price is very manageable. It's around 25 euros. And the guy plows its vineyards with a horse. So you have a horse on the, if you can see, I don't know if you see on the label.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
Oh no, back a bit.
My God.
Can't read it. No, sorry.
So and the Bordeaux, maybe you'll see this one better. Oof. I have lights. I mean, hold on. I'll turn off the light. I think you'll see it better here. Yeah.
Yeah, better.
That's the Bordeaux. It's Saint-Emilion. It's not too much known. It's a 2014, but it's quite good. Fleur Font Le Gade. And the Burgundy was this one. That I recommend you can, because this Olivier Guyot is quite.
Yeah.
He makes wine in the best climat of Burgundy, Chambertin and so forth. And that's his. I mean, that's his generic Bourgogne. I guess most do this because they sell a lot, of course.
All right, and other people, Adela, you're drinking Bordeaux or Burgundy? You said.
I have
Burgundy.
Yeah, Burgundy. Yeah, and you. Yeah.
That's mine.
Yeah.
Saint-Aubin.
Latour.
But it's a red.
Latour.
I'm sorry, it's just a Peñasol, which is imported over here. I should have gone for. Colombia doesn't produce good wine. It's all sweet stuff. It's all horrid. If you like wine made out of apples and other things, which it's like, it's too sweet for me. I cannot take it, you know. But I got a Peñasol, which is obviously Spanish, and it's a Burgundy, and it's quite dry. But it's got a nice flavor to it, slightly semi-sweet, not too heavy on that score, and I like it.
Where are you? Sorry, I missed that. Kurt, where are you?
Colombia, my friend.
South America.
South America, yeah, not Colombia, USA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's great. I'm having a wine at 4 in the afternoon. It's kind of nice.
You got
Can't be bad.
Did you get a Bordeaux or a Burgundy?
Bordeaux. Well, closest to it anyway, Peñasol variant, but it's quite a recent one. It's a 2019, so it's got only had a couple of years, give or take, in the bottle, so to speak. But I like it. It's quite dry, but it's nice. It's like Penny was saying. It's quite a high level of tannin there, but it's actually, for me, I quite like it.
If you can post the name on the WhatsApp, will be.
Yeah, for sure thing, man.
Peter. And do you normally prefer Bordeaux or Burgundy?
It's a good question. I haven't tasted a decent one of either for a long while, but for me, I probably vote on the sort of side of the Bordeaux.
Okay.
And I broke the rules because I didn't know this was a rule, but I've got a white wine from Burgundy. So it's Viré Clessé from the Mâconnais, so it's a Chardonnay. Tiny bit of oak, but really not an oaky wine. And I do think that's one thing Burgundy does really well, is really good Chardonnay-based wines. This is not expensive. It's £16 a bottle.
Yeah.
Lots of pleasure there.
The Bordeaux they make white wines, do they also do Chardonnay or they use some other?
No. They're in Bordeaux. It will be Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon, sometimes a little bit of Muscadel.
And you still, when it comes to white wines, most people prefer Burgundy, or because I know Bordeaux good white wines as well.
Yeah, Bordeaux makes some very good white wines too. But I think in terms of the absolute classics, I think white Burgundy is above.
Yeah.
Even though there's some very expensive white Bordeaux. Bordeaux is very switched on commercially, so they know that there's room in the market for very fine white Bordeaux, so they will make it. So you can buy Le Pavillon de Margaux by Chateau Margaux, and it costs you a lot of money. It's a lovely wine, but I think you can buy as good wine not made at Chateau Margaux, which gives you as much pleasure but doesn't cost as much, but you have the cachet of Chateau Margaux, obviously.
What do you think would happen if you would plant Bordeaux type wine like Cabernet Sauvignon in Burgundy, or a Burgundy in Bordeaux?
You could do that, but you would have to make a Vin de France. You couldn't call it, it wouldn't be called Bordeaux in Bordeaux. It wouldn't be called Burgundy in Burgundy. You would just have to say it's Vin de France, because those grape varieties are not permitted in Bordeaux, and you can't grow Pinot Noir in Bordeaux and call it Bordeaux.
Can you make it without calling it Bordeaux? Can you legally make it, or they will arrest you?
Yeah, there's a category called Vin de France, and all it is saying this wine is made from grapes that are from France in designated area of.
And not necessarily a specific one.
Yeah. Does anyone?
No, you can blend between areas as well.
Okay.
In the same way that we're very happy to buy wine. Big branded wines from Chile, that say Central Vineyard, and that covers a huge swathe of vineyards in Chile. We buy things that say Southeast Australia. There's no such place as Southeast Australia on the map. It's basically like a quarter of Australia, and Australia is bigger than Europe. So other areas we're very happy for them to blend across regions, and so Vin de France allows you to blend across regions in France.
So
but with climate change, why wouldn't we see the Cabernets pitching up in Burgundy? We might be seeing Rhone varieties going into Burgundy.
Have you seen any such wine? Have you seen any Bordeaux type? Yeah.
No.
Because
the vineyard is too expensive in Burgundy to do anything so speculative where you wouldn't be able to charge much money for it. Why would you make a Vin de France in your posh Burgundy vineyard? You wouldn't.
Be a ruin.
Yeah.
You guys heard of Sine Qua Non wine?
Sine Qua Non?
Yeah, it's an American wine. So they cost like £500 a bottle, and it's called table wine on the label. And the reason it's table wine, it's amazing wine. I think it's the wine that got the most 100 points from Robert Parker, and on Cellar Tracker is the top wines. So the guy said, if I could put tomato juice in the wine bottle and improve taste, I would do this. He said, I don't care about your appellation rules and so on. I just want to make good wine. And kind of breaks all the rules, but he makes great wines, and it says on the bottle table wine.
That's similar to the Super Tuscans in Italy.
Yeah.
Because they added Cabernet Sauvignon to an area that was usually Sangiovese. But they were such good wines, they rose to the top, and they now cost an absolute fortune.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
sorry, I'm going to have to go, but it was great to see everybody, and nice to hear about your wines.
Pleasure.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. And so do you know if wines like Masseto are like the Super Tuscans? Are they table wines or?
They're called that effectively. They're not DOCG wines. So they
well,
have to be, it doesn't matter what they're called there, because now they have the reputation, they can charge.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. If someone could grow Petrus in Nigeria and be the same taste, people would buy it, you know. Yeah.
Unlikely.
Yeah, it's unlikely, but what I'm saying is it's about the name, and if you build this kind of broad name.
Yeah, but it's linked to the terroir, huh, it's linked to a microclimate. What you buy is the terroir, the microclimate, and the association of this earth and microclimate. Yeah. I mean, French wines are it's what we say.
Yeah.
So if Petrus does wine somewhere else, people won't. I mean, people that have no idea about wine might buy it, but
no. If they make it at their level, it's kind of potential. I think Moet makes sparkling wine in America. And it's called Moet, but it's called Moet sparkling wine. I'm not sure.
Yes, like Moet. No, of course they sold. The name is used in America, yes, and it can't call it champagne, but it's bubbly, and it's the same name.
I think Russia makes champagne, but because they're not in the European Union, so they can just call it champagne.
Who's that? Sorry?
You know, the name champagne is protected in the European Union.
It's protected throughout the world.
Yeah, no country in the European Union can do this, and other countries they can just call it, like in the Russian wine that write on their label Champansko, which means champagne, and the reason they can do this is because they don't care. you know. Yeah. So, James, what do you prefer of the two, the Burgundy or the Bordeaux?
The Bordeaux's really smooth, an hour to oxygenate. The Burgundy has a few rough edges on the fresh bottle.
Yeah.
So I think it's best to leave it for an hour.
So you think the Bordeaux is better for all these two?
Well, on first impressions, but often a red wine improves dramatically if you let it air for an hour.
Sure. Do you guys think like which wines should be let to air longer, Bordeaux or Burgundy?
Probably Bordeaux.
Bordeaux, yes, I would say, because it's a heavier body, there's more tannin, so that will keep better.
It's more robust.
If you want to keep it a long time, but wine should be drunk, you know. I mean, I think 10 years from the year is a good 10 to 15 years is a good time to drink them.
So in terms of maturity, do you think Bordeaux and Burgundy mature about the same time?
Yeah.
What I can tell you, there's a big difference in the grape Pinot Noir, which is the black grape of Burgundy, is very capricious and it's very prone. It's very much more difficult to make wine because there's lots of diseases. It rains a lot. It's more problematic. That's probably why there's these variations of between different vintages. So that's another difference we haven't talked about. But Burgundy is it's much harder, vinification. And I guess Bordeaux, you have much more sun, so everything is smoother. But Burgundy is more extraordinary, I think. And then in the history, we haven't talked about the history, but Burgundy, you know, starts really with the monks Benedictines and Cistercians. So it's the year 900. It's a long time ago, huh? 1,000 years ago. It's a heavy history, huge history between the Burgundy.
Wines were actually in the first century.
There was wine. No, there was wine, of course, before, because the Romans had wines. But
yeah,
it's this climat. Climat is this all these structured places of Burgundy. If you look at the map of Burgundy, it's like a mosaic of little places, and some very with big fame and some with a lesser fame. All of this starts 1,000 years ago with the monks trying and tasting, and so this huge history which makes the fame of the place.
And how long do you think it's good to let a wine air? Like you open the bottle and so on. Let's say Burgundy or Bordeaux.
If you open it, doesn't do much. Huh? Just opening the bottle makes almost nothing. If you want to air, if you want some air, you put it in a decanter, like half an hour before, and it would. And that's done almost more for young wine when you want to give this airing the wine.
Yeah. And do you think maybe half an hour for Burgundy and 1 hour for Bordeaux is a good idea, or for decanting?
I would do it. I mean, I would always do it, but if you just get the cork, it doesn't do much.
Sure.
If you want to do, if you don't have a decanter, you can put it in your glass, but then it would get warm. That's the problem.
Glass, how long would you wait until it feels better for Burgundy or Bordeaux?
Depends on the age of the wine, the temperature, what you're drinking it with, all sorts of things, really. The best thing to do, which is the most fun, is to just have your bottle, drink it slowly through the evening and make your own conclusions, because that tells you everything, is the experience of trying that with different wines and different styles.
But it's true that it's very interesting to, like the wine you have, everyone's wine is probably different now than it was when we started to drink it, because
not a lot.
if it's been in the glass, if you left it in the glass, it will evolve.
But you don't need to decanter older wines, you said.
If you decant older wines, it's usually to get them off the sediment. So you take the wine out of the rack where it's lying horizontal, stand it up for a few hours, so the sediment goes to the bottom of the bottle, and then you very carefully pour it into something else, anything you like, really, because you can then wash the bottle and pour the wine back into the original bottle. So you don't actually need a decanter. You could use a little glass jug or anything. I sometimes use my cafetiere glass jug, so it's not got any coffee in it. And that's a nice size for one bottle, and you just pour it back into the original. That's what I did tonight with this one.
And Penny, which do you prefer, Bordeaux or Burgundy?
Well, I was brought up to prefer Burgundy because it was my father's favourite.
Yeah.
He trained me at the age of 10 to say I would like Chivray Chambertin, Pouligny, Montrachet in restaurants, which was rather fun. But I must say I've reverted quite a lot to Bordeaux, but they're so different. I would say I've had fabulous top Bordeaux and fabulous top Burgundy, so how can you tell? And it's, I must say, things like the big names, I don't think it's worth chasing them at all because they're out of reach now. I mean, I used to be able to get them years ago because they weren't so expensive, but if you know what you're doing with wine, you can do even better on the next layer down. And following things like Parker, I hate Parker. I think he's ruined a lot of wines because he wanted this thumping great, huge, fruity style high alcohol that sort of knocks you over, and it has no subtlety or delicacy whatsoever. So if you were to try a top Burgundy that I would like, which is delicate and subtle and complex and wonderful, and doesn't punch you in the face with a load of jammy fruit, then he would probably just give it 80 or something like that. And he certainly had a huge influence on Australia. And if you look at the top Australian wines, the more recent ones than Grange, Hermitage, and the older ones, he made people make stuff that was so strong, you almost wanted to dilute it with water. Certainly came across some of those in southern Australia. They were far too big. And so there's a place called Torbreck, for example. He was originally a forester in Scotland, and he went out to Australia and started up this winery. But he went straight for top quality Parker style wines so that he could get the money for them, and he does. Commands huge prices for a not particularly old vineyard or winery. And anyway, that's my rant about Parker.
Hey, Daniel, briefly, Penny. Daniel, thank you so much. I've got class in about 5, so I've got to kind of drop out now. But thank you so much for the invite.
Hoping okay, when we do the next one.
Yeah, please let me know. It's been good. Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I haven't said much. I listened everything. I did work for a food and drinks company. I mean, more drinks and wine. It was Italian wine, but for myself, my favorite is Zinfandel. It's a bit sweet one. I listen to everyone. I just joined because it's my first meeting which Daniel invited me. So I'm not an expert in wine, but I did attend lots of, well, not lots, some wine tastings in London, of course. And I would say Spanish one, La Rioja, I do enjoy. And of course, Bordeaux I try, but it's not one of my favorite. And some ones from Spain, particularly is called one Pieroaga. I do recommend if you, from Spain, I will write you the name. But if you like red wine, Pieroaga is called. She has her own vineyard, then she makes the wine. That's the one which I tried, I really enjoyed. I will share with you now.
Okay.
And of course,
you don't remember the region of this wine?
I think it was around Aragon, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm with you now because it's
they have very
some
good
years
wines
ago.
in Aragon. In Campo de Borja, they have that's Aragon, and they have this a new, rather new area which makes really quality wines of Garnacha, Grenache. Grenache is the Garnacha is the variety, the grape variety.
I've been about a year ago in the north of Spain, and I got some wines from, I think it was called Ribera Sacra, where they are growing the wines in some steep hills, and that wine was really good as well.
Yeah.
But my favorite Spanish wine is Ribera de Duero, like their wines. Emilio Moro I like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those are good wines. Yeah.
Resalso, Finca Resalso, or something like this is called the other one that I like.
Well, Andra, what do you prefer, Bordeaux or Burgundy?
I would say maybe Bordeaux, but don't drink some of them that much. La Rioja from Spain, I do like. Yes, and then Barolo from Italy.
I love Barolo.
Yes, it's okay.
It's expensive, but it's so good.
Yes, Morellino from Italy is fantastic. Morellino, I'll tell you now, because I found it at the tasting and I asked my friends, and they said yes, Morellino di Scansano. If you like red wine, I do recommend you. I don't think it's that expensive. I mean, of course, not £1, but around maybe 15 euros a bottle, maybe. Not that expensive. Some expensive wines I tried that was $200, $300 a bottle was California wines. I will write you here in the chat, Morellino. Yes, this one I recommend if you can go to tasting next year or whenever, next month. It's a good one.
Okay. All right.
Chianti, then there is Chianti. As well, if you like a sweet wine, it's called Asti. Asti, more, I will write you now. Sweet wine. That's desert wine. So, yeah, this is sparkling white wine, but usually very sweet.
Very low in alcohol as well.
I'll tell you another very good one is Moldova. If you've been to Eastern Europe, Moldova, they have certain ways how they keep the wine underground. It's one of the most famous sellers in the world in Moldova. They have very, very good quality wines, Moldova, yes.
Which one?
I don't know exactly the names because I don't drink Moldova, but I know they are very, very good. I'm from Romania, that's why I speak. Yeah. Romania also has wines, but Moldova is better. So so it's a jealousy between wines. So yes, people who know, they know what I'm talking about because Adela is also Romanian. So, but Moldovan wines are better, yes.
And Penny, what are your favorite wines?
Oh, I tend to buy wines that are non-European more than European at the moment.
Right.
And I know South African wines very well. And some of the Chenin Blanc Chardonnay whites from South Africa are very fine indeed. But I have favorites in Australia.
But you get this in London. That's
yes.
You get everything in London, huh?
You can't get everything. There's still some, and recently with COVID, there's been problems exporting some of the South African wines, but they did manage to get through the harvest all right last year, or the beginning of this year, because I was there in February. We only just got back in time when the virus hit the whole system, and they clamped down so much in South Africa. They were actually shooting people who were carrying alcohol. Absolutely peculiar place. But I mean, I've been to a lot of different wine countries on wine tours. I'm very wide liked.
And New Zealand? You like New Zealand?
Oh yes, but
Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah, I mean, this Cloudy Bay took the whole thing to a high level at one point, but they're not the best one now. But yes, I've been there as well, and the variation of the wines is amazing. I took a Syrah from New Zealand to a Zoom tasting last week of a company that usually makes Pinot Noir as its most famous, and Sauvignon Blanc. But they're beginning to spread out the number of varietals they make in New Zealand. It started off as mainly Pinot Noir, bit of Riesling, some Sauvignon Blanc, and now it's spread much wider than that. It's very interesting to watch and pick up wines early when no one's quite recognised how good they are. And then you get a very good wine. Yeah, New Zealand, very good indeed. It was sad when we were there because it was after the earthquake in Christchurch. The whole place completely.
Yeah. And how about Spain? Have you tried?
Spain, oh yes, been all those things. But started with Rioja.
Only Rioja or Ribera, or you go?
I like.
Spain is more than Rioja Ribera.
I know that. I like the Priorat wines from north of Barcelona. The Priorat is not a very well-known area in this country.
It's exclusive.
And they are absolutely. I did a trip which involved the southwest France and then going into northeast Spain.
Right.
Looking at Languedoc-Roussillon and then Priorat. And that was very interesting to see the continuity of the wine types, like you mentioned Grenache. That goes from one area to another. ovens. But the Priorat reds and the whites actually are very well worth seeking out.
I agree. Absolutely.
The Douro Duero, continuing the Portuguese or Spanish side. The Duero, I think someone mentioned a few of those, didn't they? The Moro ones. And I can't remember the names of all of them, but the famous one is Pingus, isn't it?
Pingus is Ribera del Duero.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
It's the most expensive wine in Spain.
And the best.
And they wouldn't let us visit. But we tried the second from top of their range.
What kind of grape? What type of grape?
Say,
Did you say is it Cabernet Sauvignon? Is it Merlot?
Pingus
What type of grape is Pingus?
Oh, now it's the grapes that are used in port. It's similar to those. They tend to use
Tempranillo.
well, that's Tintororiz is Tempranillo, is the same grape, but it's called different things in different areas. I think it's Tempranillo and the Touriga Nacional and there are four or five port grapes, and they go over the border into Spain.
I wanted to ask you, what regions do you think are similar in the world to Bordeaux, and what
similar to Bordeaux? Did you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What regions in the world?
In the world, if you're looking for Bordeaux style wines with the usual 3 or 4 different grapes that are grown in Bordeaux, I would go to California, South Africa, just about some of the Australian ones would do that.
What about Washington or Oregon?
Oregon, yes, I went to Oregon.
What about
Oregon? Similar to Burgundy.
Yeah, there's some very good Pinot Noir. And one winery was brave enough, which is owned by Drouin, the Burgundy company, was brave enough to put the Drouin Clos de Vougeot against their local Dundee Hills Pinot Noir. And it did stand up to it, the Oregon one. Very interesting. So they
and Washington is.
Sorry, say again?
Is Washington Bordeaux? If Oregon is similar to Burgundy, may Washington be Bordeaux?
Anywhere that will grow Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot grapes can potentially make a wine like Bordeaux. But if it's a Pinot Noir area, then no, that would be more like Burgundy. So and depending on the climate and the vineyards and all the other factors, it's not necessarily going to turn out that much like Bordeaux.
The Super Tuscans are also Cabernet Sauvignon and so on.
They're
like Bordeaux.
Small amount of that in. So the Cabernet Sauvignon part of it is a minor element, but it just lifts the wine to a different level. It was quite brave of them to do that at first.
Yeah, but what do you think is the difference between Bordeaux and Super Tuscans?
Well, Super Tuscans are mainly Sangiovese, and they're grown in Tuscany. So you're not going to get the same wine as Bordeaux, which is the 4 main Bordeaux grapes.
What kind of, so let's say, how would you describe the difference between California wines and Bordeaux wines?
It's interesting because there's been a very big attempt in California, I think, to make Bordeaux style wines, whereas some of the other countries, like Australia or South Africa, have been more interested in making their own style of wines from the same grape mix, which I think is better because you end up with a much more interesting product. You don't have to ache the one that's already at the top of the tree to get a good wine. And developing something that's just as good and just as expensive in another place is quite an interesting thing to do.
Asking. Well, I have to, excuse me, I haven't introduced myself. I'm Daniel's token Russian oligarch. He was looking for myself. I didn't have any Petrus either. So Daniel came up short on that particular search, but we have been friends since. I'm going to tap your brain in regard to the classification of Spanish wines, because our good friend Dan Labrakovich tells that Spanish wines are classified according to their age rather than so much their region. Is this the case? And Tempranillo and Rocca are merely ages rather than regions?
I think the Tempranillo is a grape, not a region.
And Rocca, is it a grape? Or I think Rocca is
a region.
Rocca is a region, so it's a different.
Right near the north of Spain.
Yeah, Rioja, yeah. No, it's wines are known by their regions, really. It's true that, but there's one. You see, Spain makes a lot of wine. It's the third producer after France and Italy, and before the United States, and the quality has improved a lot. So it makes really great wines. They're known for excellent ratio quality price. It's probably you get the best deals probably in Spain. But what is really trailing below is the market, because Spanish people are, on the whole, are not crazy about wine. They drink a lot of beer. If you go south of Madrid, they only drink beer. It's so hot. So all those great wines have to be, a good part is they're exported. A lot of exported to England and to the States. But the average Spaniard knows only Rioja, Ribera, and in the whites, Rías Baixas, which is Galicia, very nice whites, or Rueda. They know 4 regions, and they drink only 4 regions, and the bars mostly have only 4 regions. So the people have to improve really their level. There, of course, I mean, in the north of Spain, there's much better level of drinkers, I would say, than in the south, where they don't drink wine. And then a lot of people say they drink mostly red. They say the best white is red, which means we don't drink whites. And this is so sad. They're not famous for whites, but they do make great whites. And not expensive and very good quality price.
Excellent. So temperate grape, not an age, in your definition.
Excuse me?
Tempranillo is a grape, not an age of wine.
Right. Tempranillo is a grape, and it has a different name all over Spain. Tempranillo is called, in Catalonia, it's called Eye of Haze, Ul de Liebre. Then it's called Tinta Fino in Ribera del Duero. Then it's called Sensibel in the La Mancha. Has different names. But
do you know the translation?
The translation of which? Of what?
The word that you said.
The only one that can be translated is Catalonia, where it's called the eye of the haze, of the rabbit.
The hair, yeah.
But Tempranillo means temprano, which is early in maturation. Tempranillo is early. So it matures early.
Okay. I don't know. Any questions?
Actually, I was going to ask something which is related, but a little bit away from the directly from wine. I was looking a while ago for a course or somewhere to go and learn a bit more intensely about wine. And if you have a suggestion, any particular place would be better than?
Yes, Wine and Spirit Education Trust.
Right, I would say the same. Yeah, it's the best. It's all over the world. It's British. It's the most prestigious, but it's very good.
And they do various levels that you can take exams if you want to, certificates and diploma.
Yeah,
they would have to have those if you wanted to go on as far as Master of Wine, which is very, very challenging qualification.
Do you know the Master Sommelier and the Master of Wine? Are they WACC or nothing to do with each other?
The Masters of Wine is a different organization from the Wine Spirit Education Trust. But most people who want to do the Master of Wine exams will have done the exams from the Wine and Spirit Education Trust first.
It's much harder.
It's the right level.
Yeah, it's the highest.
Master of Wine there are only a couple of hundred in the whole world.
Yeah, I think only like 4.
Very, very prestigious.
You know that in sommeliers they have like advanced sommelier. Sommelier, like advanced wine expert. Like, is there a level below wine, or is just?
The sommelier is the person who serves the wine in the restaurant. So they train at various levels, but the best ones are very, very highly qualified, and there are world recognitions of the top sommeliers. For example, there's one who used to work at the Pont de la Tour, who was the top sommelier in the world. And the courses vary. You can do a so-called sommelier course for about half a day in Devon somewhere, but the proper courses are much, much more challenging than that and formally recognized, and could lead to, being in a very top restaurant, choosing the wines and serving them. But they have to do things which Masters of Wine don't have to do. For example, pouring a bottle of champagne into 8 glasses to exactly the same level in one run through. They can't go back. They've got to do the same amount in each glass precisely and finish the bottle on the last glass.
What other differences are there between Master of Wine? The main difference is the way they serve. It's like the Master Sommelier is more focused on service.
And the sommelier is the wine server, and usually the main person who chooses the wines for the restaurant. But often obviously in cahoots with the owners and whoever else is around with some expertise. But small restaurants still have a sommelier who's pretty damn good. Like there's a restaurant called Medlar in the end of the King's Road, and they have a fabulous wine list and a sommelier. But if you're trying to organize a group meal at any of the big restaurants, collaborating with sommelier is absolutely vital because you get the right wines. I'm trying to remember, there's a restaurant which is connected to hedonism. Can you remind me what that one is? I've been there once. Hyde, that's right.
Hyde. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't that impressed by it, but they can get you any wine from the hedonism shop to have with your meal, which is quite something.
I think there is a big potential doing something. What I think is crazy, like in Hyde, you can get any wine from hedonism basically at the wine shop price and pay £10 extra.
That's
in
very
other restaurants, you pay. So let's say a wine costs £100 in hedonism, Hyde would charge you £110, while another restaurant would charge you £300.
Yeah,
so,
they often triple it. And if there are less expensive wines, it's sometimes 5 times the price, which is ludicrous.
Yes.
But there are also ones to look out for where you can take in your own wine and not pay any forfeit at all on certain days of the week.
When I want to drink a nice bottle of wine in a restaurant, like let's say Krug or Celos or anything, or Montrachet or something, I bring it. You know, I don't care if I'm gonna look bad bringing in a plastic bag a bottle of wine. I'm not paying them £300 extra. You know.
Yeah. Like, there's another company called Planet of the Grapes who, before lockdown, did wonderful dinners, and they had their own shop, so they have fantastic wine. But they have also had a system in their restaurants, which is not a big famous restaurant, but you could have their wines for cost price plus 10% with your meal, and their wines are stunning, really, really good. It's not a huge list like Hedonism, but the guy who runs it, Matt Harris, is very, very good.
What is the name of the restaurant?
It's called Planet of the Grapes. It's almost like a wine bar. There are 4 wine bars.
Restaurant is the service.
I think he's shut one of them now because of COVID, but he was at Bow Lane, Moorgate, Sicilian Avenue, and Leadenhall before. And does wine tasting events with dinner, which is really, really good. But they're very, very noisy. If you don't like noise, you don't go there. They're full of a lot of very loud people.
That, of course, it's true that they amplify, I mean, they're 3 times more than usual. But I had a local restaurant near which shut down now. And they were from Italy. I think they were from the north of Italy or nearby Puglia. And they used to sell.
Puglia's in the south.
Sorry, in south, yeah. But I think the wine was from the Puglia nearby, and it's Primitivi Manduri. And they had, and it was delicious. And I tried to replace it and find it elsewhere, but I couldn't. So today I went to, of course, Hedonism, and I bought it. I'll show you the bottle. Of course, yeah. And once I try it, then I'll find out how close it was from the original, the one I used to have from the Italian restaurant.
This is something that hedonism is very good for. Have every single wine you can think of. Basically.
Oh, yeah, so they're extraordinary.
Is Primitivi. Can you see?
Primitiva.
Primitiva.
I can't quite read it, but yeah.
Primitiva
Manduri. Yes.
My favorite wine.
I think DBM Wines in Bristol have that, I think. Because I got them to put us together some cases for another wine group. And they chose the wines for us. And 6 different ones to compare. And that was one of them. Or something very, very similar. I'm not sure. I'll put it here. No.
What is your favorite Italian wine? I absolutely adore Montepulciano and Primitiva. What is your recommendation? Be less wise.
Favorite Italian wine? Ooh.
For me, it's Barolo. It's the north. It's absolutely the north. Nebbiolo is the grape.
Barolos are quite tough till they're a bit older. There's a company called a winery called Prunato, which you can get in Waitrose. And they're beautiful wines, and they're from the House Fantinori, who make some of the top Tuscan wines. And they're all over Italy now, including down in Puglia. Well, they have one called Tolmoresco, which is absolutely gorgeous. And that's one I would go for if I was looking for.
Then on Italy, on the Etna, on the Vulcany Etna, you have beautiful wines also.
Oh, Etna, yes, they're different.
Yeah.
They have a few experimental ones. They're using amphora in the dug into the ground. I don't know how on earth they keep the fruit flies out, but it's quite a nice wine.
Italy is where you will have the most variety of any place in the world, because they have more varieties of wine than anybody, more than France.
Production, enormous production, and Sicily is massive amount of wine. So I think Sicily is as much as the rest of Italy.
Really?
Which is surprising because you don't think of it like that. But the Sicilian wines, Planeta is a name to look for in Sicily. Donna Fugata. Who else?
Terra, I know.
There's a few big, really big ones. But there are some smaller up and coming ones if you know how to look for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, are there good Sicilian wines? Which one do you think is the best of the Sicilian wines?
The Sicilian wine?
Yeah.
I like Planeta. They're very well established. They do. There's a grape called Fiano, if you like your whites, which is only grown in central Italy and Sicily, I think. And there's a wine from Planeta called Cometa, which is Fiano, and that is absolutely superb. The reds, I'm trying to think, probably Planeta again. But the Nero d'Avola is the big grape there, and they're probably the best wines for a good Nero d'Avola.
So they make both white, red. Do they make dessert as well? Or?
Yes, they do indeed. They make Marsala, which is famously used in Italian cooking to make zabaione. And that is actually made in a dry version as well. But the sweet one, there's a company called De Bartoli, which make a fantastic Marsala, but there's other more commercial companies. And it's not quite so characterful if you get it from there. And they also do sweet wines from some of the islands. There's an island called Pantelleria, which is famous for growing capers, but they also have a superb sweet wine, or one or two sweet wines. I think they're muscats. Yeah, they're muscats.
And I wanted to ask you, back to Bordeaux and Burgundy. What do you think is the difference in left and right bank Bordeaux?
Left bank are the classic, the five classifications. There's Saint-Estèphe, Pauillac, Saint-Julien, Margaux.
Yeah.
I missed one out. Anyway, so the top classified wines come from that area, and then the other side in Saint-Emilion, they have different classification and different grape mixes.
And more
Merlot and more Cabernet Franc.
The first growth are all left bank.
First growth, yes, because that's the classification of the left bank is the 1 to 5 classification from the
Margaux, Lafite Rothschild, Mouton Rothschild.
Yeah.
They're all
Margaux, exactly.
Lafite, Mouton.
And
then,
what do you think is the difference? The left bank are more full-bodied or more expressive?
They have a Sauvignon, Cabernet is the main grape, so they're more structured and a little more tannic, Merlot is softer, is silkier.
Petrus is left bank or right bank?
Petrus is right bank. Petrus is Pomerol. The two big areas on the right bank is Pomerol and Saint-Emilion.
And Petrus, Pomerol, yeah.
And Petrus is the most known of Pomerol, yeah.
Right bank. So I guess both sides have good wines, you know. Yeah.
Yes, I mean and in the middle it's very average wine. It's called Entre deux mers, between two seas. It's between the two rivers, and it's very average. It's wine. It's white wine for your oysters, but it's
so
like no fame, and people are starving. I mean,
so what are the main difference between the left and the right bank?
I think you summarized it quite well. You said the left bank are more structured, firmer wines, and probably need to be drunk a little more mature than the right bank, which is softer because of the grape mix being different with a lot of Merlot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Merlot is a softer grape than Cabernet Sauvignon.
Maybe in a way they're closer to Burgundy in terms of being softer.
No, because Burgundy,
Burgundy and Saint-Emilion are quite confusable when they're getting reasonably mature. Because
Burgundy, if you see the color, is much more, it's lighter red. It's much, maybe more intense, but it's thinner. Yeah. It's, you know, it's more elegant. It's really...
But my wine today is a Burgundy, and it's that color.
Incredible.
Unusually dark.
Yeah, I agree. Mine too. Mine surprised me. It was a little darker. So it's not a rule, really.
No, it's not. The interesting thing about Bordeaux is that a lot of the most famous chateaux are owned by huge companies, like Suntory, the Japanese company, owns one or two of the biggest chateaux. And the way they do it without spoiling the character of the wine is they get a local winemaker, and there are some very, very well-established winemakers who go from chateau to chateau advising on how to make the wine. And it's really successful. When they first started doing that, making the companies part of huge commercial conglomerates, I thought they would ruin the wine, but they haven't. And it's because they get in the right consultants. And you were talking about making Petrus in Nigeria. What they would do is take the wine from Petrus, take it right to Nigeria and say, what do you recommend?
I wouldn't say that Nigeria, just a point, if a wine can be made somewhere else. Maybe I could have said America would have been a better example. Like,
no, Nigeria's, I don't know enough about the geography of Nigeria to say whether it's got good winemaking climate or not.
I think it's a bad example because I don't think they make any wines there. But I should have said America. If Petrus made America that was at their level, potentially they can use their name, you know?
Yes, they do. I mean, the first one to do that was Rothschild in California.
Yeah,
you got the name on it. And they make Pinot Noir. I've got some in my cellars, an old Pinot Noir from Rothschild, which is California.
And is there a distinction? I wanted to ask: is there a distinction in Burgundy that is similar to the one between left and right bank of Bordeaux?
Well, only in that the Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune are considered slightly similar.
Côte de Nuit and Côte du...
Côte de Beaune is more white, and Côte de Nuit is red, really. Wines.
Like crosses over a bit. It's not quite.
Are there good reds in Côte de Beaune?
Yes.
It's all the Côte d'Or, and the Côte d'Or, the golden Côte, is divided into Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune.
Côte de Beaune, you have Meursault, Pomard.
But you also have other regions in Burgundy than Côte de Beaune and Côte de Nuit. Like Chablis is not in one of them, right? Chablis is a different.
It is Chablis.
Yeah, but it's assimilated to Burgundy. It's similar.
North.
If you want a white Burgundy without paying the price, you go to Chablis. You know. But,
or south into the places like Saint-Aubin.
Chablis are very good. Huh? You have Chablis Premier Cru, and you can have excellent wines.
They're quite acidic wines. Often you have to like that style.
So Montrachet and so on. Which one is it in Côte de Beaune or Côte de Nuit?
Côte de Beaune, Montrachet, si. Côte de Beaune.
Montrachet and Romanée Conti is in Côte de Beaune.
Romanée Conti. Let's see if.
We can Google it.
No, I guess it's in.
I can't remember either. I think it's Nuit, isn't it?
Vaune Romanée is in Côte de Nuit.
It's further north.
Yeah, so it's Côte de Nuit. Yeah.
But Montrachet is in Côte de Beaune.
Yeah.
So okay, Romanée Conti is in Côte de Nuit. What great wine is in Côte de Beaune?
Corton. Gevrey Chambertin.
Chambertin?
Gevrey Chambertin, yeah.
So there are some good, and are there some good whites in Côte de Nuit?
Yes, but it's trying to think of anything. You wouldn't normally go there for white. But some of the red, the famous name is the red. You can get a white version and vice versa. So, but it's not usual.
Can you think of any good Côte de Nuit white wines?
No idea.
Not really.
No.
Probably don't even export them because people don't buy white in Côte de Nuit. I don't think so.
I don't think they make much. That's the thing.
Yeah. Do you want to ask anything else?
Yes, when you go to meet your maker in the sky, which bottle of wine will you take with you?
I usually put that as a 3-minute warning for nuclear attack, and it's Chateau d'Yquem.
Chateau d'Yquem, yeah? Yeah. Okay. Have you guys tried also Tokai? Have you tried Tokaji? From Hungary.
Tokai, yes.
Oh, yeah.
No, I've been to Tokai, to Hungary, mainly the Tokai region, but some of the others as well. And yeah, they are the most underpriced wines of quality for a dessert wine in the world. Apart from the Northern Victoria wines in Australia, in Rutherglen, which are
like Chateau d'Yquem. And then I tried Tokai Essentia. Have you tried?
Well, that's a very unique thing. Not made in the same
way. Have you tried Tokai?
Essentia, yeah, a few times when we were there and once or twice here.
I've tried. I think they started 10 years, but 10 years is super young for Tokai Essentia. I once had a Tokai Essentia that was 40 years old, and so I think the standard was like £300 for half a bottle. Tokai
Essentia. That's about right.
And
you still get
40 years, like £800. So basically, in Turkey, they use something called plutonians, which is half glass of noble grapes put into the large pot of grapes. And if you put, let's say, 3, it becomes sweet. And if you put 4, it becomes sweeter. If you put 5 or 6, it becomes more sweet. And essentially, it's just the noble grapes, you know, like no bullshit, just noble grapes. And they call it the wine of kings and the king of wines. And once I had a dinner with a 40-year-old guy, which was 800 pounds for half a bottle. And the sommelier was like, man, this wine is so young. It's like, imagine a flower, it just has not opened even, you know, like these wines need like 500 years to age properly, you know.
Indestructible. Yeah. They have very special little glass tasting spoons in some of them.
Yes, exactly.
Give you a very small amount. But
instead of them giving me a glass, they gave me a spoon, you know.
Yeah. Well,
it's not something that
the story goes is they keep it in the fridge and use it as a medicine. So their children can have a spoonful of that before they go to school. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah, and it's only like 2% alcohol. So
yeah, because they can hardly get it fermented.
A lot I sent you to get drunk.
No, you can get drunk.
It's not the
get diabetes before you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys want to ask anything?
No. Well, I've learned a lot. I must confess, you've been a panel of great wisdom. And Dan Lovrikovich's story about the ages of wine, he may have proven to be slightly, shall we say, anachronistic. I think it's the correct word. But that's been fantastic. I would love to drink at least 3 more bottles, tap your brains further, but I fear memory might not recall the precious information.
Well, you have to be tasting wines for 50 years, like me, before you have that much knowledge.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe the next 2 wine tastings, I can do one that is Bordeaux left bank versus right bank, and then maybe do Côte de Beaune versus Côte de Nuit. What do you guys think about this?
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Both could work. The left bank versus right bank, and then Côte de Beaune versus Côte de Nuit. Yeah.
I rather liked your idea of the northern Italian one, which is Barolo versus Barbaresco.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
I would be very interested in that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, my goal is to basically make something that people are interested. And yeah, I wanna, if I have enough people that join, we could do like a wine tasting for white wines, rosé wines, red wines, champagne, dessert wines, and also cognac, because cognac is a fermented wine, right? So cognac is a wine.
Cognac,
you know?
yeah, it's a spirit. Go ahead, yeah.
It's kind of a special one.
It's not fermented, it's a distillation.
Yeah, port is dessert.
Cognac is a spirit. The one to do would be cognac versus Armagnac, because they're
brandy. Yeah, we can just do
same area, but distilled at different temperatures. They're very interesting.
Which region is Armagnac? Where does it come?
Armagnac's further south than Cognac, but very similar area and using the same grapes, but they distill at different temperatures.
But
I prefer Armagnac. I think it's got a more complex.
At the very top of the very top brandies, they're all cognac.
Yes, I suppose that's true, but the Armagnacs are lesser known. Yeah. But they can be really wonderful.
I think I can do sometime maybe English sparkling wine versus champagne. But if you compare the top English sparkling wines to the top champagne, there is like no comparison. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's right. It's, but they're
so,
not the same price. I mean, the English ones only go up to mid £30.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe for
Krug is
£30 English sparkling wine could compare to £30 champagne, but a £30 English sparkling wine would never compare to vintage Krug that is £300. Like it is
no.
And yeah, in terms of Burgundy, that is Pinot Noir, is there any, can you name some regions? You mentioned Oregon. Are there other regions that make some really good?
New Zealand.
New Zealand's famous for it,
and California also.
There are good ones in Australia, in Victoria, in Australia.
Okay. Thank you all for the discussion, and I'll have to disconnect because for me as well it's getting late. Thank you, Daniel, for the invite, and definitely let me know in the next meetings. Maybe if you have a topic, let's say you say tonight we're going to discuss Italian wines. Next week we discuss Italian wines. Sorry, Spanish wine. Whatever you want, you can choose lots of topics.
And you're also welcome to join the James Prince School of Vitology, which is located under the table.
Okay. See you. Have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. So now we're just left. Yeah, so what do you guys think? Maybe next week we do left bank versus right bank of Bordeaux, and then we Côte de Nuit versus Côte de Bon, yeah? You think that could be interesting? And maybe after we can do other topics, and yeah, if other people are interested in helping, maybe they can host like other types, you know, like my idea is, imagine if people have more time, we can do like 1 hour for each type of wine. So let's say 1 hour for red, 1 hour for white, 1 hour for rosé, 1 hour for champagne, 1 hour for dessert wine, 1 hour for cognac, for brandy, you know.
We're going to be there all day at this rate.
Madre mía.
Or in one day.
Yeah, no, I think if somebody...
It's really the worst aware of it.
Yeah. No, somebody can just join 1 hour, you know, whatever they want. It's, you know, like if you join, if you watch BBC, they are 24 hours or something like this, you know. So you're not forced to watch all 24 hours, but the point is that it's a 24/7 channel. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something that is like the whole week, from Monday to Sunday, 24 hours. There are some kind of topics on Zoom. Yeah.
Like a box set of wine.
Exactly. Anytime you can turn the Zoom, you can watch some wine topic or something like this. Yeah. So I mean that could be interesting. Sure. So yeah. So if you want to have any.
There we go.
Yeah. No more questions.
Au revoir. Bonne nuit. Et à Wiedersehen.
Buenas noches.
Au revoir, à bientôt.
Bye.
Yeah, so let's meet Wednesday, and maybe we can do Bordeaux versus Burgundy. I mean, left bank versus right bank, Bordeaux. And
that's what you want to do next week, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, we can choose our topics for after, but I think it could be interesting. Yeah, it would be nice.
To a few other wine groups who do Zooms, and they're all different. They all follow their own type
of any kind of topic. I believe a wine Zoom or event should be based about choice. You know, like when somebody just presents their wines, it's not really a choice. It's just like, look how nice my wines are. But when you have like, let's say, left bank versus right bank and so on, it's more of a choice, because most people cannot buy all the wines, you know, like, so which wine should you buy for a restaurant? Which wine goes well with some certain foods, you know? And yeah, by the way, I forgot to ask this question. what foods do you think go better with Bordeaux and with Burgundy?
Yeah, can do a bit of food.
What do you think,
Yeah.
what food goes better with Bordeaux and Burgundy?
Well, if you're talking about red Bordeaux and Burgundy, I would say steak and beef products go better with Bordeaux and lamb with Burgundy, for example, just as a rough categorization.
What about chicken or
But you
fish?
have boeuf bourguignon as well as a classic dish, so it's not exactly absolute.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think, Bella and Gonzague, what food do you think goes better with Bordeaux and Burgundy?
Usually, there's a quick way of pairing. That's the food that's done in the area of where the wine is made. So Bordeaux, I know Bordeaux, you have some fishes that goes with Bordeaux because you have light reds also.
Mhm.
And they have rivers and they have I don't know if it's la lamproie.
The lampreys, yes.
Yeah, but Bordeaux, you also have
The steak à la bordelaise is a classic.
steak or and then in Burgundy, you have exquisite food made with truffles because you have some. I think Petrus and the wines from the right bank of Pomerol, the very top ones have this truffle aroma. So the association with very exquisite and expensive and nice is with truffles, meat with truffles, which can be even la poularde de Bresse, which is this old chicken with truffle and some very elaborate way of preparing them.
They go well with Pomerol. So
And in Bordeaux, you have l'agneau, which is lamb, I think. Lamb is very famous also in Bordeaux. Young lamb, you have the gigot d'agneau, gigot, which is the hind leg.
Top of the leg.
Yeah.
So Gonzague, have you tried Petrus wine?
I haven't tried it, no.
But a long
Have you? Have you?
I have tried it. I may go, I think in the restaurant Petrus, they do like really small glasses for like maybe 200 pounds. So it could be worth one time, especially if they do tasting. Like I've tried some really expensive wines like Moton Rothschild. Like let's say it's 5 Bordeaux, but when they do 25 milliliters in hedonism, and it costs like 25 pounds, or something like this. So it's quite a great deal. They stopped doing the wine tastings in hedonism because they have a limit of 10 people because of COVID. So you can't have 10 people trying wine tasting. They just want to sell wine. But once COVID ends, I'm gonna be there for.
That's a good way.
I used to get so drunk there, because I'm not kidding. I watched tasting of Domaine de Roman and Conti, and it's like 20,000 a bottle, and people were tasting the wine and they were spitting. How do you spit Domaine de Roman and Conti? Like, how do you do that?
My category for these is it's worth losing your driving license for it.
I cannot 100-pound a bottle of wine, I can't spit almost anything.
I went to a tasting just to taste wine, and the tasting was just one glass. It was champagne. It was Krug Clos du Ménil, which is probably the most expensive of them, and they charge. It was the winery here in Madrid, and it's an Italian winery called Barolo, and they charge 70 euros only for the tasting, and you had one glass of Cru Clos du Mesnil.
But it's not really a tasting if it's only one type.
But because before he gave away some little wines.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried one. I've tried Cru Clos du Mesnil 2002. Which year did you try?
No, it was probably 2007 or something like that.
Yeah, I think the best years in Champagne is very easy to remember the years because they're divided by 6. So 96 is considered the best, and then it's 2002, and then 2008. And I don't know what's after 2008. Like when it comes to great champagne, they need like 10 years to mature. So there is nothing. So 96, 2002, and 2008 are considered the best.
What I have here I have a little bodega here in my house, and since I organize tastings also for companies, so I have Chateau d'Yquem.
Yeah, nice.
In 1999, I have Lafite Rothschild 2001. And then I have a Chateau Margaux. I have 5 bottles that I bought very cheap. So
only for 1,000 a bottle, yeah. How much did you buy them for?
I bought them, the Chateau Margaux, at this huge store that sells to restaurants. That's called comment ça s'appelle? They sell to distribute to restaurants, you know.
How much were the 5 bottles?
I paid like it was many years ago, and it was probably it's 2005. I probably bought it in 2008, and I paid like 250 euros a bottle.
Wow, that's very, because they sell like £1,000 in shop.
It was exactly. It was so cheap that I went all over Madrid and I bought all the bottles I could find. I drove around and I could find only 5 of them.
Yeah.
Nice. And I have them here.
Nice.
To organize a tasting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2005 is a good vintage. You know something interesting about Margaux? Earlier today, we drank with my girlfriend 2014, but it wasn't Margaux. It was the 3rd wine. You know, like it was £55 a bottle.
Pavillon, it's called Pavillon Rouge.
No. Pavillon Rouge is the 2nd wine.
Yeah,
so
second
the
one.
1st wine is like 1,000 a bottle. The 2nd one is like £200 a bottle, which is Pavillon Rouge, and then the 3rd wine is just called the 3rd wine of Chateau Margaux, and it's like £50 a bottle. But you almost cannot buy it in the shops. They only sell it for restaurants because it goes for over £100. Because Margaux, the company, doesn't want their name to be associated with cheap wine, you know.
Right.
So they want to be only expensive. So like they're happy to sell it for £100 in the restaurant, but not for £50 in the shops.
Yeah.
Now that all the restaurants are closed, they started selling in the shops.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, that £30 a bottle Saint-Emilion I had from Bordeaux was so much better than the Margaux that I paid £55.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that was quite interesting. And
how about Vega Sicilia? Have you tried it?
Yes, I've tried it, but quite a long time ago.
But
yeah,
Unico, the big one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the main Vega Sicilia. Yeah, long time ago. I've tried.
I have some in my cellar.
I have to.
Vega Sicilia is Cabernet Sauvignon, or
it's Tempranillo and Cabernet and Merlot, and it's Vega Sicilia that brought the French varieties to Spain. And they started, Vega Sicilia started the denomination of Ribera del Duero in 1982.
Nice.
So then they authorized those French variety within Ribera del Duero denomination.
Yeah.
I once went to a wine bar in Madrid with a travel expert for Spain, and they had a whole list of Vega Sicilias that you could get in that wine bar. They really had them. I was amazed, and they weren't hugely expensive either.
No, because Vega Sicilia.
I'll tell you something funny about Vega Sicilia. I was on a date with a girl, and she was like a top model, you know. And I had the Vega Sicilia. I didn't actually buy it. The owner of the restaurant gave it like a present because I was there all the time. And I posted on Instagram. I had dinner with Vega Sicilia, and by the way, there is some model on the picture, you know. You know? So,
the relationship lasted a long time. Not.
You know, that was quite funny, you know. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think that was a fun Zoom, guys. What do you think? And maybe next week we can do left bank versus right bank, Bordeaux, and maybe we can choose other topics like Côte du Bon Nuit. Maybe we can compare Oregon to Burgundy or Washington or California to
year. The subject can be a year, it can be a grape.
Yeah, there are many topics.
Yeah.
I think that each topic, I made a bit of a mistake in the beginning. I just said Bordeaux versus Burgundy, and that's why Heather had white wine, you know.
Right.
But I think it becomes too complicated to include white and dessert and so on.
Whites are great also, huh? They're beautiful. I mean, you know, my mission here is sort of to make the people like white wine because they don't. So
Yeah.
I love to make them discover the white wines and spend money on white because they don't spend money. So they say, the whites are so bad because they pay €6. So you have to spend a little. If you put 15 euros in a Spanish white, you have a great white.
I think there is a wines that cost £5-10, especially you know, in UK there is a £2 tax on alcohol, you know, so it's not VAT, it's called alcohol tax. So if let's say a bottle of wine costs £5, you're paying £2 alcohol tax, so the value is only £3. But if it costs £10, the £2 alcohol tax, after that it's like £8 left. So you're paying double, but you're getting about 3 times the value, you know, because of the alcohol tax. Many people don't know that, and when they buy like £5, they're just, I don't know what exactly they get, you know, like sweetened grape juice, you know. And
right.
I think if you can only spend £10, you're much better off buying beer, you know, like some craft beer could be much better value. There's some delicious craft beers.
Absolutely, I love craft beer. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And like if your budget is £5-10, just go for beer, you know, like it's really a waste on wine, you know.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And the better wines, the ones you can drink, start at maybe £20 or more, you know.
One is ignorance. Most of the cheap supermarket brands of white wine are either hideously sweet or hideously acidic. So there are very few reasonably priced white wines where you can get lucky with a red wine at a budget price.
You can get Alsace at a very good whites for a good price.
Yeah, we can do sometime maybe Alsace from France versus German.
And the Rhone Valley.
The grape in Alsace was Gewürztraminer, right? Or
there are 4 great varieties in Alsace, and that's one of them.
Yeah, but maybe we can.
Gewürztraminer is very special.
Alsace to Gewürztraminer in Germany, maybe sometime. I think that could be, but I made this wine about Bordeaux versus Burgundy because they're famous wine types, but I think better tastings would be if they are the same type of grapes, you know.
Because that'd be interesting, yeah, because you could do Gewürztraminer all over the world, because they are making it in other countries now. So.
Yeah,
comparing Bordeaux to Burgundy is a bit like apples to oranges, you know, like they're really different, you know.
Yeah.
While maybe versus Rheinbahn, Bordeaux will be more.
And that was interesting. It's more interesting to compare two wines that are very different. I think.
Sure.
I think it wasn't bad, huh? Bordeaux, Burgundy. I thought they're so different that it's interesting.
Yeah, awesome.
You know, they do Pinot Noir in Spain. So.
I was just going to ask, just out of curiosity. I mean, I personally tend to not buy wine from supermarkets. I go to the local wine cellar or that I trust. I mean, according to like expert, when you're buying wine and you're paying like, you know, up to 20, 35 pounds from any general wine, you're paying really for the packaging and other things. A good wine should be able to, I mean, you should be able to buy it in a cost of £10 and so on. And I wonder where you stand with this.
Well, I buy wine wherever I fancy buying it. You know, it's all over the place, including supermarkets. But that's based on a very big amount of experience. And if you know a lot about the wines, you can find some real gems in the supermarkets because you know what you're looking for. For example, at the cheaper end, I mentioned Gewürztraminer from Alsace. There's a cooperative called the Cave de Turkheim in Alsace, which makes Gewürztraminer, which is way above the price they charge for it in quality. But you have to know that. And, you know, I've sort of been there and tried all wines. And there's a Chilean Pinot Noir from Connoisseur. And it's absolutely brilliant. And it's about £7 a bottle. And then they take 20% off sometimes. So it's a perfectly good wine. So, but you have to know much more about wines to buy at the cheap end. So in fact, it's actually more fun to do that because you know what to go for.
Oh, I agree.
And you know how to recognize quality that doesn't match the price. And that's a more fun game. It'd be like if you were buying clothes and you just went to all the top designers, or you went to other places which were slightly more interesting and you could find much more interesting things, but you'd have to know what you're doing.
There is also this suggestion that often in a supermarket, obviously, yeah, I have bought it in past as well and have been lucky enough to find, but in general, I avoid is because it's difficult for me particularly. I don't hold that level of expertise or knowledge and some understanding. And it's also the suggestion that when it gets transported and delivered, it's the way it's been transported, the wine actually also loses its qualities because of the way it's delivered. Is that true?
Well, some wines are delivered in big tankers and bottled over here. There's some interesting things about, you know, the carbon footprint of bringing things to this country. And one of them is wine. And it creates a smaller carbon footprint to bring an Australian wine in a tanker and bottle it here than it does to bring the bottles in from the south of Spain, because of the weight and the use of all the fuel. So it's quite a complicated equation. I've always been surprised that Chilean and Argentinian wines are always in really heavy bottles, bottled over there and then carted across here, which is very, very heavy on carbon footprint.
Sorry to interrupt, I have to go, but it was and nice to meet everybody.
Yeah,
maybe you can make something like a wine for dummies. So
I think there is one.
Sorry?
They're very good, those dummies books. I've used them for various other things.
I am Europe's top dummy, so I'm probably qualified to say something on that.
I have no ideas about wines. I just know I like red wine. So
you just have to keep trying them. And I mean, I haven't been in with people that like wine, and I've always been in wine clubs and things like that, and I've run a few, but it's just trying them over and over again, enjoying them and getting to know what you like.
yeah, you are very knowledgeable. So I learned quite a bit today. So I'm grateful for that.
It's nice to be starting all over again. Everything's a nice surprise.
True, true. Good night, everybody.
Bye bye.
I think
Hasta luego.
we're
Do
getting
you
late
have
for
any
me.
questions or?
Okay.
Only to say no one should
Bye,
take
everyone.
my recommendation of Montgras Carmenere because it may go up in price.
And Montgras, they're good wines, actually. I
Okay.
was lucky enough to have a patient who liked to bring me those as a present.
All right.
Well, I can say it was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thanks for inviting me. Be interested to come to
It was very nice, yes.
Wednesday and future Wednesdays, and we do more and more wine tasting. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll see you guys.
Cheers.
Right.
Bye bye.